Last weekend, a few of us got together for an impromptu movie screening at a campus apartment. We were all undecided which movie to watch. One of us suggested Disney's Davy Crockett with Bess Parker, considering we live in San Antonio, where the Alamo is a focus point in the movie. Towards the end, there is a scene in the movie where Davy Crockett's friend escapes on the horseback to ride for reinforcements in a town called Goliad. This scene triggered interest in the relevance and accuracy of horseback as a method of communication during the Battle of the Alamo. Despite the Disney movie being known as historically inaccurate, we then began conducting investigations as to the historical accuracy of this scene, as well as other forms of wartime communication throughout American wartime history since the 1836 Battle of the Alamo. Our ultimate goal was to discover how these forms of communication have impacted our lives and how they continue to impact our day-to-day lives through their various forms. Upon conducting research, we learned that Colonel Travis, head of command, did send a courier named James Bonham to Goliad on horseback for help with Colonel Fannin and his 400 garrison troops. Like depicted in the movie, the courier did return but with no reinforcements. Instead, the colonel sent a return letter advising Travis, "For God's sake, hold out until we can assist you." After doing more research, we learned that the men garrisoned at the Alamo used other forms of communication as well. We know Travis sent a letter by courier as a plea for help after Santa Anna's request for unconditional surrender the night before the initial attack. Given the reliance of couriers and letters during the siege and battle of the Alamo, it is evident how important couriers on horseback and letters were as forms of battlefield communication. By the time the Civil War rolled around, about 25 years after the Alamo, several new methods of war communication had evolved. The Civil War made wide use of the newly invented electrical telegraph under Morse code, especially the Union Army. The telegraph spanned long distances, but mobile units were used as well. Covered wagon trains equipped with insulated wire and poles were used for rapid laying of telegraph lines for quicker communication. Immediately during and before the war, signaling with flags by day and torches by night was also implemented. Many times, a shutter was implemented by being placed in front of a strong light. An operator would operate the shutter and emit light according to a pattern using Morse code. The introduction of electricity to the battlefields of World War I was revolutionary. In fact, every mechanized contraption in World War I was either enhanced or powered by electricity, like planes, tanks, machine guns, and other equipment. The light bulb, thanks to electricity, was a simple but important form of communication new to the battlefield. Artificial light was used to communicate directions on the battlefield as well as direct attacks. The radio, powered by electricity as well, was an equally important addition to battlefield communication. It allowed troops to talk to each other over a wide range of distances. As radio technology advanced, oscillators, amplifiers, and electron tubing made reliable voice communication possible. This allowed radio operators with portable transmitters to warn fellow soldiers of any attacks across the battlefield. As a matter of fact, dogs and pigeons were also used as messengers. Dogs were fast and less of a target, and pigeons were useful for communicating with headquarters across miles of terrain. Although many new additions of communication were introduced to the battlefield, Morse code was still commonly used as well as telegraphs relayed by runners, motorcyclists, and horseback riders. About 20 years after World War I, World War II erupted across much of the globe. With this new war came new communication technology, most notably radar. Radar was a form of communication developed by the British right before the war to detect enemy aircraft using radio waves. This specific form of communication was used to help the British fight the Germans in the Battle of Britain. Enigma machines were also employed in this war. These machines were gadgets which used secret codes in order to keep communications secret in case of their discovery by the enemy. These were mostly used by Germans, but Allied scientists were still able to crack the codes, which gave them an advantage on the battlefield. The Vietnam War introduced new methods of communication to the battlefield, especially useful in the dense jungles of Vietnam. Air-mobile communication became more widespread, as it tied ground troops on the jungle floor to their air support. On the tactical level, new transistorized combat radios enabled infantry, armor, and artillery to communicate directly with each other. Also introduced was priority access to systems like communication satellite links, which were assigned to command and control personnel. With this new responsibility in communication, though, came secret protocol. Security protocol included the use of prearranged transmission times, spectrum frequency changes, concise messaging, and one-way communication. The Gulf War set the stage for the type of technology we see most commonly today on battlefield. Nowadays, all branches of the U.S. military utilize radar, satellite communication, radio, microwave communication, and digital communication on the battlefield. These are all forms of communication that have roots in previous wars. Nowadays, radio is still used and provided in a wide range of frequencies. High-frequency waves are great over long distances, and ultra-high-frequency waves are great at shorter distances and are better quality. Airborne radar is another commonly used form of communication found today. It is the most efficient because range is the only issue, not the curve of the Earth like other forms of long-distance communication. AWACS, or Airborne Warning and Communication System, on board of E-3 aircraft specialize in this type of communication. Balloons tethered to the ground equipped with radar dishes also are used in airborne radar communication. Digital communication is communication reliant mostly on motion picture. Like a video game, it will send live video feeds to a computer which takes the information. Instead of a vocal transmission via radio waves, it will instead send a digital signal, enabling the recipient to visually see what is being observed instead of having to rely on an observer's description via radio. Finally, there is microwave communication. Microwave communication is a ground-based system of communication. It requires plugging a cable into the system, which enables the microwaves to be shot into the sky towards a receiving dish that catches the signal. All in all, much of the modern communication technologies found in the Gulf War is found in today's civilian society as well. The history behind wartime communication technologies is something which has left a deep imprint on our lives today. Although historically, its influences on society today are not as obvious to the modern eye, we have discovered how modern communication has evolved as rapidly and intricately as it has on the battlefield. Communication at the time of the Alamo was time-consuming and included more effort. Letters by personal deliverance were physically demanding and took a cumbersome amount of time. The ability to use the satellite for personal communication devices was harnessed by civilian society after the military first began using them. The cell phone, texting, and video chats are credited to the technologies that were used by the military. These advances in communication technology address the inconvenience of a slow delivery of time-sensitive messages in both the civilian and military setting. Aircraft, radio, radar, satellites, and microwaves made communication more convenient, faster, and connected more people across the globe. Just as battlefield communication evolved, so did civilian communication. The ability of the internet, cell phone, radios, and other high-speed connectors make our lives more convenient and eliminate the old struggle of waiting days, weeks, or months to send and receive messages. Improvements to time-consuming technologies like letters and codes have made battlefield and personal civilian communications vastly more efficient. As a whole, the technological discoveries by the military have opened a world of efficient and more connected communication for us.